What if I told you that beneath the southern charm, sweet tea, and college football pride of Alabama lies a story most people have never heard? A story not told in tourist brochures or history books. Alabama isn't just another state in the deep South. It's a place with secrets, buried events, and dark truths that shaped not only its people, but the entire United States. Today, we're peeling back those layers. This isn't the Alabama you think you know. A civil war is over and Reconstruction has begun. The 13th Amendment has abolished slavery, but the reality of freedom for Black Americans is far from certain. In the decades following the Civil War, a new system emerges in the South, sharecropping. While it may sound like an economic opportunity, it's really a scheme to keep African Americans trapped in a cycle of debt and poverty. Landowners offer former slaves the chance to rent and farm a portion of their land in exchange for a share of the profits. But the system is rigged. The landowner always retains ownership of the tools and the seeds, ensuring that the sharecropper will always remain dependent on him. Any profits above what's needed to pay the landowner go to the sharecropper, right? Wrong. Often the landowner simply adjusts the amount owed, ensuring that the sharecropper walks away with nothing. It's legalized exploitation. And this system will be the backbone of the New South, trapping generations in poverty and cementing racial hierarchies. Fast forward to today. The remnants of this system still linger, a stark reminder of a not-so-distant past. Where did it end, and where did we begin? What happened in between? Well, that's next on our list. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. In the heart of Alabama, there's a town that's synonymous with the state's painful past, Lincoln. In 1963, 4 young girls, Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, and Jimmy Lee Tucker, were brutally murdered in the 16th Street Baptist Church by members of the Ku Klux Klan. This wasn't just a hate crime. It was an attempt to stop the growing movement for civil rights. Their killer would be brought to justice, but the scars left on Lincoln and the nation would last forever. As you explore Alabama, remember that behind every charming town and scenic landscape, there are stories of courage, resilience, and the ongoing fight for equality. Don't just take our word for it. Experience it for yourself. Talk to the locals, read the history books, and visit the museums. You'll find that Alabama is more than just a beautiful southern state. It's a living testament to the struggles and triumphs of the human spirit. So, what are you waiting for? Start exploring, start learning, and start sharing. Help us spread the word about all the amazing things Alabama has to teach us. Together, we can keep their memory alive and ensure that their sacrifice was not in vain. Until then, keep dreaming, keep fighting, and never, ever give up. The world is watching. And that's all for now. See you next time. When people hear Alabama, they usually think of rolling fields, civil rights marches, or the Crimson Tide. But that image hides a history drenched in paradox. On one side, Alabama gave birth to revolutionary change, the spark of the civil rights movement, voices that refused to be silenced, moments that reshaped America's identity. On the other side, the state was also home to violence, oppression, and power struggles that revealed just how fragile freedom truly was. For decades, entire chapters of Alabama's past have been overshadowed by myths or erased altogether. Stories of forgotten towns swallowed by rivers, trials that shook the nation, and cultural secrets too unsettling to make it into mainstream narratives. This is the Alabama people aren't ready to talk about, the one built on contradictions between hope and despair, progress and resistance, survival and silence. In this documentary-style journey, we're going to uncover the secrets Alabama tried to keep hidden. From the unsolved mysteries that haunt small towns, to the darker legacies of slavery and segregation, to the cultural folklore that still lingers in whispers today. By the end, you'll see Alabama not as just a state on the map, but as a symbol of America's most powerful struggles and its darkest contradictions. The state of Alabama is steeped in civil rights history. We all know the pivotal events like the Montgomery bus boycott and the Selma to Montgomery marches. But beyond those, there are untold stories of courage and sacrifice. Take, for example, the story of Viola Liuzzo, a white civil rights activist who fearlessly drove desegregated buses across the South. Her dedication to the cause put her in the crosshairs of hate groups. And in 1961, she was brutally murdered, an event that shook the nation. The circumstances surrounding her death, including the initial investigation and trial, were deeply flawed, exposing the lengths to which some would go to protect the status quo. Viola's story, along with many others, reveals the true cost of the civil rights movement, one that went far beyond the headlines. Then there's the story of the Tuskegee Airmen, a group of black pilots who broke barriers and defied expectations during World War II. Their extraordinary service and sacrifice often went unrecognized, a testament to the systemic racism that permeated even the armed forces. These hidden stories are crucial to understanding the true depth and complexity of the civil rights struggle. They remind us that behind every major event, there are countless individual stories of bravery, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of equality. As we continue our journey through Alabama, we'll seek out more of these voices, ensuring that their courage and sacrifice are not forgotten. But it's not just about the past. The legacy of civil rights is something we continue to build on today. By uncovering these hidden stories, we are also reminded of the progress that has been made and the challenges that still remain in the fight for racial justice. And now we turn to an even darker chapter, one that many might find too disturbing to discuss: the legacy of slavery in Alabama. You may already know about the brutal conditions on plantations like those at Taos or Tuckahoe. But what you may not know is the full scope of human experimentation conducted by the Tuskegee Institute. Between 1932 and 1972, hundreds of black men were subjected to horrific medical testing without their consent. This dark chapter in American history is a stark reminder of the depths of human cruelty and the lasting trauma of slavery. It's a story that stayed hidden for decades, only to be revealed and condemned in the 1970s. In the face of such atrocities, it is important to remember the resilience and dignity of the individuals who were affected by this horrific legacy. Uncovering these stories helps us confront the uncomfortable truths of our past, understand the roots of systemic racism, and work towards a more just and equitable future. It's a journey that requires courage and empathy, but it's essential if we read to honor the memory of those who suffered and strive to create a better world. Beyond these well-known narratives, Alabama is dotted with ghost towns and forgotten communities, each holding unique stories of survival, displacement, and resilience. Some of these towns, like Africatown, were founded by formerly enslaved people seeking autonomy and self-sufficiency after emancipation. Others, like Oakland, were wiped off the map quite literally when the government decided to flood the area to create the Tennessee River. And then there's the eerie tale of the lost colony of Escambia. As you explore these abandoned places, you'll encounter crumbling buildings, silent streets, and empty landscapes that speak volumes about the lives that once thrived here. The absence of people adds a haunting dimension to these sites, leaving you to imagine the stories of those who lived, worked, and dreamed within these now vacant spaces. If you want to learn more about Alabama's hidden history, stay tuned for more updates. Together, we can uncover more stories that have been buried, ignored, or simply forgotten. And in doing so, we can gain a deeper understanding of the complexities of Alabama's past and its lasting impact on the present. Beneath the waters of the Tennessee River lies one of Alabama's most haunting secrets, a city that vanished almost overnight. In the 1800s, Florence, Alabama was a bustling town with thriving mills and booming trade. But in 1917, the government announced plans to construct the Wilson Dam, which would flood the surrounding area. Families who had built their lives here for generations knew they would be forced to abandon their homes when the Tennessee River's waters rose. But they hoped that by working together, they could convince the government to find another location for the dam. But it was too late. As the structure was completed, entire neighborhoods were erased. Streets, churches, and schools were all swallowed by the rising waters. Homes were left abandoned with their doors flung open, as if inviting the curious to come on in and make themselves at home. But there was nothing left to see. The town's residents had vanished, along with their belongings, leaving behind only a scattering of personal items and the foundations of their former lives. As the river filled with water, so did the rumors. Some said they saw ghostly apparitions walking the flooded streets, while others claimed that the water had turned a strange shade of green, as if tainted by the spirits of those displaced. Most unbelievable were the stories told by divers, who claimed that entire buildings and even vehicles could still be seen under the murky currents. With the help of sonar technology, they've discovered streets lined with perfectly preserved houses, their interiors still intact down to the furniture and personal belongings of the former residents. It's like stepping back in time, except this time you're literally stepping underwater. But perhaps the strangest part is that the legend doesn't end there. Some say that on certain nights, eerie lights can be seen flickering beneath the surface, as if the town's residents are trying to signal to the living that they're still down there. And while many dismiss these stories as the musings of overactive imaginations, there are just as many who swear by their experiences. Could it be possible that the town of Florence is still inhabited by those who refuse to leave their homes? Or are the spirits of these lost souls forever trapped beneath the waves? You know the story of Selma. How could you not? It's the story of courage and triumph. On March 7, 1965, when 6,000 people marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, that was a turning point in America's fight for civil rights. But that story, it's only one chapter in a much longer, much bloodier book. Alabama was a battleground where activists were hunted, churches were burned, and people were silenced through intimidation that never made national headlines. For every victory that was won, there were countless stories of ordinary men and women who fought for justice but never lived to tell the tale. And so today, we're going to set the record straight. We're going to give voice to those who were silenced. We're going to remember those 50,000 Alabamians who dared to dream of a better world and in doing so, changed the course of American history. It all started back in 1954 when the Brown family moved to a small town called Tuskegee Institute. They were an ordinary family with an extraordinary dream, a dream for their children, a dream of a better life. But their dream didn't belong in this town. Not in 1954. This was a place where the KKK was alive and well, where black people were routinely beaten, jailed, and even killed just for trying to exercise their basic rights. The Browns quickly realized that if they wanted a different life for their kids, they had to leave. So they packed up and moved to Montgomery, Alabama, where at least there was work. But the dream, it didn't come easy. The Browns were one of hundreds of black families who flooded into Montgomery, desperate for a better life. But all they found was more hate and more violence. In the following years, the dream, it began to die. Attacks, they only got worse. And eventually, the Brown family, like so many others, had to flee. I know this story sounds sad, almost tragic, but that's not the end of it. Because in telling this story, I want you to meet the real heroes of Selma, the unsung heroes whose names are not etched in stone, but whose sacrifices made that bridge crossing possible. I want you to meet the foot soldiers, the backbone of the movement, the men and women who put their bodies on the line, who endured the beatings, the arrests, the threats, the killings, who kept marching for a better future. I want you to meet the organizers, the strategists, the leaders who planned the boycotts, the sit-ins, the freedom rides, who put their reputations, their careers, their very lives on the line to keep the movement alive. I want you to meet the bystanders, the silent witnesses who stood up and spoke out against injustice, who turned their outrage into action. In the quiet city of Oxford, Alabama, where the pace of life is as slow as the meandering town creek, there's a legend so chilling, it's earned the town an eerie nickname, Hell's Gate. And at the heart of this legend is a bridge, a structure of rusted steel and broken concrete that serves as a portal to the town's most haunting secret. The locals say that if you drive across the bridge at night and stop in the middle, a phantom couple appears in your car. A young man and woman, victims of a tragic accident that claimed their lives decades ago, forever trapped in the car that now serves as a tomb. And when you look back into your rearview mirror after crossing, you don't see the road, but the fiery gates of hell itself. The legend of Hell's Gate Bridge has been passed down through generations of Alabama storytellers, each adding their own layer of terror to the tale. But the bridge is more than just a setting for a scary story. It's a tangible piece of Oxford's history, a silent witness to a tragedy that shook the town to its core. On a cold December night in 1967, a young couple, James and Mary, were driving home from a late movie when their car collided with another vehicle near the bridge. The accident was terrible, a mangled mess of metal and glass that left the couple trapped and dying. Their car burst into flames, their screams echoing into the night. And by the time emergency services arrived, it was too late. James and Mary were burned alive in their car, their souls forever trapped in the wreckage. The story could have ended there, just another tragic accident in an otherwise quiet town. But in the weeks that followed, strange things started to happen. People driving across the bridge at night reported seeing the ghost of the couple in the car behind them, their forms flickering in the darkness like a bad dream. And then there were the fiery gates of hell. At first, it was just a rumor, a chilling detail added to an already terrifying story. But as more and more people came forward with similar tales, it became clear that the legend of Hell's Gate Bridge had been born. Today, the bridge is closed to cars, but the legend lives on. Teenagers sneak out at night to test their courage, hoping to catch a glimpse of the ghostly couple, or perhaps even catch a ride across the bridge to hell. Paranormal investigators arrive with cameras in tow, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. And storytellers gather around the bridge at night, sharing tales of terror and suspense. The legend of Hell's Gate Bridge is more than just a local legend. It's a reflection of the fears that people carry silently through generations, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places. In the heart of the United States, there's a city known for its vibrant Mardi Gras celebrations. It's a place where history comes alive with parades, music, and dancing. But beneath the surface of this seemingly joyful city lies a dark secret that has been buried for over 150 years. It all started in 1860 when a ship known as the Clotilda arrived in Mobile, Alabama, carrying a cargo of enslaved men, women, and children from Africa. This was not an isolated incident. In fact, Mobile was one of the last active slave ports in the United States. And at the time, the city's economy was booming due to the forced labor of thousands of enslaved Africans. But as the years passed, the story of the Clotilda and the atrocities that occurred on her voyage became a painful secret that the city as residents tried to forget. For over a century, the existence of the ship and the survivors of its voyage were denied and even ridiculed. As if it never existed, the survivors of the voyage built their own community called Africatown, preserving their language and culture despite the trauma they endured. But the truth is that the Clotilda was real, and her voyage was a horrific reminder of the brutality of the slave trade. Recently, the wreck of the ship was discovered buried in the muddy waters of the Mobile River. The discovery of the ship's wreck provided undeniable evidence of the atrocities that occurred during the slave trade. Even today, the descendants of those enslaved Africans fight to keep their story alive. They face a constant battle against silence and erasure, working to ensure that the world remembers the horrors of wars, the Clotilda, and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. As we continue to explore the dark history of slavery in the United States, it's important to remember the stories of the enslaved people who were brought to this country. Their stories are a testament to the resilience and strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. What do you think about this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you next time.